What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the DFS Dose YouTube channel, the live stream, Saturday night live stream. Apologize for the quality here, but I got this dope ass sloth in the background, so we're chilling, we're vibing.
Yeah, this dude Ben, like Aaron said, streaming from the COVID unit. No cap.
No boost.
See, we go from 1 week where I don't have any power, get through that streaming. Now we're streaming. I'm back on my setup. Good to be back.
I'm not on my setup,
and you're
as
not
you
on
could
your
tell.
setup.
I don't. How's the audio quality? Is it shot? Is it okay?
I mean, it's not great, but you can understand.
All right.
You can understand what you're saying, which is all that matters.
That's all that matters. We're not gonna have any cutouts. Not gonna have any awkward silences like last week.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that Patriots game?
I mean, we got manhandled.
Like a little bit
tough L. We needed to win that, for the AFC East race. Now the Bills have a shot to make it, more of a contest than what it was before this game happened. They play the Panthers this week, should be able to get the dub there, and the Bills and the Patriots play again next week, so that's going to be a huge game for the AFC East. But Patriots just beat themselves. Really nothing you could say about it.
Yeah.
But I will say, big shout out to JT for scoring that 70-yard touchdown for literally no reason. If he falls down, the Colts win. Like, they just knee it out and win and get out of there. But nonetheless, he scores a touchdown. The Patriots get the ball back. I needed Jacoby Myers to get 6 yards. He had like 11 targets, and Mac Jones missed him on about 7 of them. But nonetheless, we still got it done.
A big shout out to Jacoby Myers keeping me in first place on the Drafters 10K tournament. Like, I needed that.
Yep.
I needed those 11.3 points. That's my son.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we got it done. Won a cool 250. Well, profit 225. Can't beat that. Came down to JT. I needed him to score or the Patriots to get the ball back, and he didn't kneel, which is or he didn't go down, which is lit. You got to be in our Discord, man. I put this bet in there, and I said in the Discord, Hunter Henry, his over 22.5 receiving yards was a stone lock. An absolute lock.
Didn't he score 2 touchdowns? I was kind of in transit during this game, so I kind of missed it, but I think I saw two touchdown notifications from HH.
Yeah, Hunter Henry, he snapped in. My best ball team that has Hunter Henry, JT, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp. It's looking real nice.
Looking right real now. Live.
Right now, after that run out with Kupp getting, or not with Kupp, with Hunter Henry getting 2 touchdowns, and JT had a $170 and 1 per usual. Hunter Henry finished 6 for 77 and 2 tutties.
Love to see that. Listen. Enough is enough, though. Aaron's asking the important questions right now, and we need to dive into this slate. Before we get into, our position by position breakdown, let's just talk about this slate as a whole. Never has there been a slate where literally every word that we said on our Wednesday podcast was completely invalidated by Saturday. Like, literally every word. Like, my favorite GPP plays, my long shots, Jalen Waddle, literally not on the slate anymore. He's got COVID. Our favorite game to stack, the Rams and Seahawks, not on the slate anymore, got postponed because of COVID. Antonio Gibson chalk week, not on the slate anymore, got postponed due to COVID. So this slate has seen an extreme amount of turmoil. The league in general is facing an extreme amount of turmoil, and Jared says it in the chat, let's go COVID slate. This is the definitive COVID slate of 2021.
Yeah, it's like the definitive COVID slate ever.
Yeah. Even last year, it wasn't like this.
And the funny thing is like, obviously not going to get into how the NFL, just doing their protocols or whatever, but these games could have been played tomorrow right? Like, the Rams just activated like 6 people off of COVID. OBJ's off, Darrell Henderson's off, so they easily could have played tomorrow. the Washington football team, they activated like 5 defenders off COVID, and they could have easily played that game tomorrow. But nonetheless, we get those 2 game slates, which I love. Shout out to that. But we have this slate. It's an ugly one, especially for cash games. But there's money to be won. There's money to be lost. And we're gonna talk about our favorite plays, and I have some strong, opinions and thoughts for this week, especially in cash games.
Do you?
I do.
I love to hear that. And I just figured out how to turn on the high quality camera. So shout out to me for that. Let's dive right in though. Let's talk about the quarterback position. I'm interested in your thoughts right off the bat at that in cash games. Early in the week, it looked like it was going to be a punted off kind of week. It looked like Tua was the strong play, but with the way things are shaking out, I think most people are going to be paying up to either Josh Allen or Kyler Murray. Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, I think we have enough salary savers on this slate that if you want, you can go with Kyler or Josh Allen. I really don't have a lean between the two. I think both are great plays. Both are projecting well. I think Josh Allen is maybe going to be the highest owned. I think these two are easily going to be the highest owned quarterbacks. Right now, I think I would just take the 200 in savings and go to Kyler.
It's a smash spot for Kyler.
Smash spot. James Conner's a little banged up. They're just getting Chase Edmonds back. He could run the ball quite a bit against the Lions. We saw in the last 2 weeks that he's ran for his highest totals of the year. So it doesn't look like he's limited by that ankle injury anymore. And I love Kyler's upside, in this spot against Detroit. I think Josh Allen is a pretty fine play. You can play him if you want, but right now I honestly prefer Kyler in cash if I'm paying up. But Aaron mentioned it. Jimmy G, is he viable in cash? And the way that you can jam in everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean like Deontay, Devontae, maybe Diggs in there as well, and maybe if you want to go like Najee or whatever, you could pay down at quarterback. So do you have like a favorite pay down option like Tua, Jimmy G? I mean, Big Ben's in a smash spot too. That's pretty gross, but
bro, we're not playing Big Ben.
No, I love Big Ben this week.
You do?
I love Big Ben this week.
You're going to put real American dollars on Ben Roethlisberger tomorrow.
Yes.
You're not capping right now.
I'm no cap. I will run a lineup or two with a Big Ben to Deontay Claypool double with a Julio Jones bring back.
Wow. I respect that.
It's just I'm like I haven't been in on Big Ben, but it is a smash spot. He's only 5,600. He's had, like we talked about on the pod, 19, 28, 22. If he can get you 20 to 25 at 5,600.
Yeah.
And it pairs well with.
Tennessee is a pass ball for what it's worth.
Yeah, exactly. So I do like Big Ben this week, but for cash, I think you could play Tua or Jimmy G.
In that range, Tua, I think, is the standout. It's just that the Jets are so bad on defense. Every player on the Dolphins is in a smash spot at every position. Devontae Parker, Myles Gaskin, Mike Gesicki, like they're all in smash spots, and we can't expect all of these guys to go off if we think Tua is going to have a subpar game. They've been a good team in terms of pass expectation, or pass rate over expectation, I should say. So I'm into Tua this week over Jimmy. I trust him more. I trust that the offense is going to be passing regardless of game script. I don't feel the same way about Jimmy Garoppolo. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine paying $100 more for Jimmy G when Tua is sitting right there in the smash spot. So he would be my pay down lean. Frankly, I think that is my lean right now in cash games because I want to jam in these expensive wide receivers.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, how do you feel about Dak at 6,500? I know he's been a little inconsistent, but like if we remove like just those biases that we might have from those previous weeks, like Zeke is obviously a little washed up. Tony Pollard is still hurt, correct? And it's
I
just
don't think Tony Pollard is going to play, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. So it's just a complete smash spot for Dak Prescott. Obviously, I just mentioned he's been inconsistent, and that's gonna, force us to not play him. But like, do these previous results really matter for this week? He's playing a Giants defense that literally just cannot stop anybody right now at period.
It makes me like Dak in tournaments. In cash games, though, it's the same sort of thing. Like, I don't trust that this team is going to be throwing the ball. Like, could Dak get there off 18 to 20 pass attempts if he throws 3 touchdowns in like a highly, incredibly efficient game? Absolutely. And I think that you can try and chase that in tournaments, but in cash, like, I mean, what's the spread in this game? It's pretty massive. No, it's 11 and a half points. Like, we know that in scripts like that their lean is going to be to run the ball. So I think that it's a Zeke game. And if it's not a Zeke game, I mean, they'll even give the ball to Corey Clement, who out-touched Zeke last week. Like, I don't think that Pollard being out there is going to make them go more pass heavy.
Yeah, I mean, that is the concern, is game script. But as you could see here, like over the last month, the Cowboys have tended more pass heavy, and kind of just the thesis of the play is it's just a get right spot for the Dallas passing attack, and we're very low, or we're very short, I should say, of good teams in good spots on this main slate. And Dak, I mean, for GPPs, you're not going to get a crazy ownership discount because the good quarterbacks are going to be owned. It's the skill position players where I have a lot of conviction in cash, especially, and GPPs, where you're going to get the leverage for tournaments. But I think if you want, you can play Dak in cash. I really think he's cash viable. You save 1,400 off of Kyler. You save 1,600 off of Josh Allen. And if you get 40 pass attempts against the Giants, I think he can easily throw for 3 touchdowns in the spot. So I love Dak, but I could see why people won't go there in cash. But he is going to be owned in GPPs.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see the ownership projections on Dak Prescott this week, looking like he could even be higher owned than Tua. I thought for sure that wouldn't be the case. But yeah, I guess Dak is, kind of like that popular play of the week, getting steamed. People know, people are sharp these days. So, I mean, that's definitely all the guys that I consider cash viable, between Murray and Allen at the pay up. And then I think, Tua at the low range. You're into Dak. I wouldn't play him in cash, but I think he's a fine play. But I'm interested in hearing your conviction here at the skill position players, especially at running back, because running back is legitimately disgusting this week. Like, one of the worst running back slates I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these trash and cheap running backs are going to be some of the highest owned plays on the slate. And James Robinson is looking like he's going to be the chalk. And I don't think James Robinson is trash. I do think he's in a pretty great spot at home against Houston. Maybe it's getting overrated, like the amount of, significance Urban Meyer had on the offense, because like Darrell Bevell, who was the play caller before he got fired, is still the play caller, right? I think it's more impactful that Carlos Hyde is out with injury. They really have nobody behind Carlos Hyde. So this could be a spot where James Robinson just sees every single touch out of the backfield and sees plenty of running back snaps, and he's only 5,400. So I do love James Robinson this week. But if we're going to like Myles Gaskin as the 3rd highest owned running back, Michael Carter as the 4th highest owned running back, Jeff Wilson is up there.
Wait. I know I've been a little busy this week, but you're telling me that Michael Carter is going to be top 5 in ownership at the running back position this week?
Yep. 4,700. He's projecting to be a top 5 owned running back on this slate just because it's so ugly, and he's 4,700. He's cheap. He has a pass catching role, whatever. Jeff Wilson, 5K. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you would know, like, I'm not playing Jeff Wilson at 5K. Like, it's a great matchup, and that's really what you're playing him for, is the matchup and like his 13 to 16 touches he's going to get.
Yeah,
But
we got to talk about this because I think that this is one of the main decision points in cash this week. And I know where you stand on it. You tweeted about it. You said that he's asset football. I tend to agree. I didn't want to play Jeff Wilson Jr., but in the builds that I'm looking at, it's like he's at home against the Atlanta Falcons. They're massive favorites, looking like 9.5 right now. They have a high implied team total, 27.75. He should get all the work minus whatever, 7 or 8 carries that Debo steals and scores 2 touchdowns on. But I mean, the workload projects really well. I'm inclined to play Jeff Wilson Jr. So give us the case against him.
I mean, there's really no case besides, he's a 2-down plotter with low explosiveness, especially coming off a knee injury, that's going to lose 8 to 10 carries to Debo. Debo's probably going to score the rushing touchdowns because that's just how it always works out.
That's what he does.
And, it's just a IKB play, or fade, I should say, an IKB fade. And especially in GPPs, if this dude is going to be one of the highest owned running backs in tournaments, and then, you can include Gaskin and Carter and Javonte Williams, who's in a timeshare. Aaron said J-Rob a lock. Yes, I personally think J-Rob is a lock in cash.
Yes.
2 running backs I personally like the 2 running back build.
Yes.
I think wide receiver.
I mean, there's barely even 2 viable running backs for cash this week.
But yeah, this is my conviction is, that we have limited good players, but I'm going to play the good guys, the good players who score fantasy points, like Joe Mixon on this slate.
I have conviction that if Najee Harris is going to be one of the top 5 highest owned players on the slate, that's one of the easiest fades of all time.
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%. Najee. I mean, he's a solid player. He's going to project well.
Any of my lineups.
What does IKB mean, Ben?
IKB, shout out to the GOATs over at Establish the Run, Adam Levitan, who coined the phrase. IKB just means I know better. I know better than the projections. I know better than what the numbers say.
And the crazy thing is Jeff Wilson's not even projecting that well. That's the thing. But he's still going to be one of the more popular running backs. And if it burns me, I'll be fine. I'll be on this island by myself. Faded him the 2 times he's been chalked this year. If you're going to play him at 4,400, you got to play him at 5K. It's only a 600 price increase, and he was chalk against Jacksonville 5,100. It's a very similar spot to that, except they're at home, and that's pretty much the difference, right? I think it's just a lot of empty volume with Jeff Wilson. We're spending way too much time on him, but it's a IKB. I'm not playing him in cash. I'm not playing him in GPPs, and like I said, I'm just playing good players. So Joe Mixon is my favorite tournament running back play of the week. He's going to get 25 touches.
Denver on the road, though.
He's going to get 25 touches.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how Denver is a favorite in this game. I like the Bengals straight up to win, but I think some more impactful news that we have to wait till tomorrow is whether or not James Conner is going to play. Because if James Conner doesn't play, they expect him to play. But if he doesn't, somehow Chase Edmonds is 5,400, and I think Chase Edmonds would be a smash. Or he's 5,100, excuse me. I think Chase Edmonds would be a smash in, a clear cut, better play than Jeff Wilson if James Conner's out.
Without a doubt. We'll know that news ahead of time. It is a 1 p.m. game, so we'll have that news well in advance.
Who's the Rashad Penny play of the week? I'll stamp it. If you were tuned in,
Deontay last week.
If you were tuned into the live stream last week, that's why I think he brought it up. He was watching. I said Rashad Penny was a great GPP play. Millie winner. He won. He was in the Millie winner. Deontay Foreman is this week's Rashad Penny.
It's a great spot. Pittsburgh's run defense is literally an embarrassment to like human society.
Yep. The Steelers have given up 35, 20, and 32 points to starting running backs over the last 3 weeks. That is Dalvin Cook, Devontae Freeman, and Joe Mixon. They're
Hey, if
just getting
Devontae Freeman can do it in 2021, you bet your ass Foreman can.
yeah, they're just getting embarrassed on this running back slate. 20 points will win you a GPP, and I think Deontay Foreman could easily get you 20 if he scores, a touchdown or two.
If I set the line at 3.5 running backs to score over 20 points on DraftKings this week, which way are you leaning?
Under.
Me too.
I don't think 4 running backs score over 20.
Yeah, me neither.
Um,
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show, like going back to the question about is it a 2 running back, 4 wide receiver we can cash? It absolutely is. The value wide receivers I think are both great.
way better.
I think that the pay up wide receivers are better. Everything about the wide receiver position is better this week.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So 2 running backs in cash. Honestly, I love 2 running backs in tournaments as well. I just kind of don't want to play any of these guys. But yeah. Dante Foreman is my favorite GPP running back play of the weekend. I'm depending on him in a couple fantasy leagues as well. So hopefully it goes well. I mean, he only had 32% of the touches, but it was a blowout last week. And in a more competitive game against the Steelers, reeling rush defense, I think it's a smash spot for Foreman. And you're going to get him at, let me check. He is going to come in
less than 10.
Like way less than 10%. Or around 10%.
About 10.
So
but less.
It's a good spot for him. And he's not going to be chalk on a week where there is a lot of bad chalk. And that I think would include DeAndre Swift is out, Jared. And so is Jamal Williams. So it's Craig Reynolds week again, if you want to go there. I mean, he's
another player that will be nowhere near my lineups.
Yeah, 4,300. No. But it's really all the thoughts I have. I mean, I think in cash you go J-Rob and Gaskin, and that's what I would do.
I feel the same way. I don't have anything to add to that.
Unless Edmonds opens up, then I would go Edmonds and J-Rob.
Chris asks in the chat, Joey, do you think that Michael Carter is good chalk or bad chalk? I have an answer on that, but I'd like to hear yours.
I think he's probably bad chalk. He's on the Jets.
Yeah.
Same thing with James Robinson. Like
the Jets have a 15.75 implied team total. Like I'm not playing Michael Carter at high ownership. Like if he was sneaky, I would like it for tournaments. Cash, absolutely not. And you're not getting nearly enough of a discount. I would rather play Jeff Wilson. I would rather play Chase Edmonds with James Conner in. At least he's a talented running. I mean, not that Michael Carter's not talented, but it's just the situation is so bad. Like the Cardinals literally have twice the team total of the Jets. Like it's not close to me.
Yeah, I think, and Dolphins D has been very good. So he's bad chalk. I think playing a 45 to 50% James Robinson in GPPs is
suspect,
not good. Like from a tournament perspective, like you'd get so much leverage on the field if James Robinson fails, and it's still the Jags. Like,
yeah,
their team total, I'm assuming, is one of the lowest on the slate. I haven't looked at it in a while. Like I think he's probably a bad play in tournaments, honestly. But then again, it's like if he gets you 15, even at high ownership, like on a running back slate like this, you'll take it. So it's really a tough situation, especially like for J-Rob specifically, on whether or not to play him in tournaments. I don't know. I feel like as a player, I would either just go 100% or just go 0 and say fuck it, like just full on send one way. Don't get caught in the middle. But that's how I play. I don't think that's necessarily the right or wrong thing to do, though.
I mean, if he's truly going to be like pushing 50%
50%.
ownership, then I think that it's unplayable in tournaments. That's my opinion. I mean, you tweeted it, and like it's an expression we've used on the podcast before, but trash plus trash doesn't equal treasure. Like expecting for anything glorious to come out of this Texans Jags game, not an expectation I'd want to set for myself at all.
Yeah, I agree, but I think we can move on to wide receiver.
Definitely. See, the thing that's getting me, and we'll get to those guys in a minute, but people keep saying how bad this slate is. How could this slate be bad when this is a Gabriel Davis stone lock slate? The man himself, Gabriel Davis, is going to be one of, if not the most popular plays on the slate at 3,700. That sounds like a good time to me. I don't know how you feel about it. That's a party I want to attend.
Yeah, Gabe Davis is projecting, pretty decently. He's projecting to be the second highest owned wide receiver behind Devontae Parker right now. 3,700. He's getting the role change in the Bills offense with Sanders out. Davis probably becomes like a 90% snap player.
Mm-hmm.
He already has like a red zone role too. That's the crazy part is you can expect him to run routes in the red zone. I think it's a pretty good play in cash. I wouldn't feel bad locking him in, my lineup as part of the 4 receiver build, especially saving salary.
And right in that same range, Devontae Parker. I mean, stone lock and cash. Not much needs to be said. Like he's legitimately a good, at least 1K too cheap, maybe even more.
Yeah, Devontae Parker, 4,300 at home against the Jets with no Jalen Waddle. I think you just play him. I mean, ceiling might be a little bit low just with the Dolphins offense in general, but I think you can pencil him in for 6 to 8 targets. He'll probably get you 5 catches, 65 yards. If you get you 12 points, you'll take it at 4,300.
I think the floor is extremely high without Jalen Waddle in there, and just the matchup sets up well. Dolphins have a really healthy team total, and he's just not priced like he's the alpha in that offense, and he is. So not much needs to be said. I think that you jam Parker and cash, him and J-Rob should be the first 2 plays you're making. And then at the high end, man, like this is where I start to get a little bit different than the field. I think Davante Adams is the pay up option. I know that more people are interested in Steph Diggs. Some people are, more interested in Deontay Johnson. I think that this is a stone cold smash spot for Davante Adams at 8,900, and he's going to be in my cash lineup. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, Davante Adams is a great play every week. 8,900, pretty good price tag for a player of his caliber. Target share, air yard share, red zone expectation, touchdown expectation, I should say. Matchup with no Marlon Humphrey now going up against one of the worst secondaries in the NFL now in the Baltimore Ravens. The only concern is, will the Ravens be able to push the Packers enough to keep their foot on the pedal a little bit and have Rodgers throwing the ball? The concern is, I mean, if you look in the game log, the concern is, something like this, like where he only gets 5 or 7 targets in a game where the Packers just control and run the clock and just don't run a ton of plays.
And I've heard people say that, but like my counter to that is the Seattle game where those Seahawks literally put up 0 points and he still had 11 targets. Like it wasn't a great fantasy game, but I don't know. I don't think that Davante Adams is going to be leaving Baltimore tomorrow with fewer than 10 targets. He's coming off of 3 consecutive 100-yard games, and he's well worth the price to me. I think he's the number 1 wide receiver play on the board.
No, I agree. Those are the cons against Davante.
Jared says that Connor is playing tomorrow. Did that news just break?
I mean, no, they said he's expected to play. I was just saying, like, if he's
I think he's going to play. But
yeah, he'll probably play. But yeah, Devontae Adams is my favorite as well. And then I think people are going to be looking in this range of Diggs and Deontay for the last receiver spot.
We actually do have two Schefter bombs. James Conner is confirmed in, and Tony Pollard is going to play.
Okay. So, I mean,
Keep
I
that in mind.
wasn't playing Zeke to begin with, but
Me neither,
definitely
but it
not
definitely weakens the play.
definitely not playing Zeke now. And
Let's
out of
talk about the other two guys, though, between Diggs and Deontay Johnson. How do you feel about them? How do you feel they compare to Devontae, and how do they compare to each other, in your opinion?
I think that, you know, they're both great plays. They're both going to have ownership, and that's really what the cash line is going to come down to, is like which of these three guys like can break the slate, or you know, which combo do you play? Do you go Adams and Diggs, or Adams and Deontay, or you know, Diggs and Deontay and fade Adams? That's really what cash games are going to come down to, in my opinion. My lean is to play Adams and play Deontay over Diggs. Maybe a hot take. I love Deontay in this spot. Mentioned it with Big Ben, but it's just a smash spot for the Steelers passing offense, going up against this Titans passing defense that just can't stop anybody. So I kind of prefer Deontay. I think he'll get more targets than Diggs. You could pencil him in for 10 minimum. Deontay, that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer Deontay to Diggs.
I don't have a strong lean right now, but I agree with you. I think that the targets are more easily projectable. Like Diggs has shown target volatility. You know, Deontay has double digits in every game since week 6, except for one, which is just unreal. Like he is the Steelers' passing offense, and this is one of the best spots they've been in all season. So the way that I would rank the top tier is Devontae, Deontay, Diggs.
Yeah,
I don't know,
how I would
man.
have it.
Diggs is going to be extremely popular, though. Like he's projecting
Yeah.
extremely well, and I don't know how much Emmanuel Sanders being out like actually. I don't know. I feel like the way that the projections are taking it is just giving a little bit too much of that to Diggs. Like I don't think his role really changes. So like yeah, he could definitely get one of these 11 target games or 13 target games. Like that's always in his range, but I don't think that it's like more likely this week than usual just because Emmanuel Sanders is out. I think that spreads pretty equally to the other guys. The only guy whose role really changes is Gabe, who's going to be on the field a lot more than he would have been otherwise.
Yep. Gabe gets
And
the role
you
change.
have to think that Josh Allen, I mean, I don't think that like his throwing is going to be, impacted by the injury, but I mean, he's not 100% for what it's worth.
Yeah, but if he's not 100%, it's with the sprained foot. That means like I think part of the projection is less rushing, which would mean more pass attempts, potentially more targets to Diggs and Beasley for what it's worth, and Gabe, and then no Sanders. No Sanders probably adds like 0.5 or 0.8 extra targets to Diggs projection.
I'm actually going to be at this game. That's why I'm in this setup right now. I'm in Buffalo, staying at my girl's place. But yeah, I'm going to be live, boots on the ground. I'll give you guys some reports on how Josh Allen looks during pregame in the Discord chat.
Yeah. Boots on the ground reporting.
Boots
Love
on
it.
the ground.
But I mean, it is a 12.5 spread. It's just the Bills just have no viable running back. So when they get up, they're just still going to throw the ball.
And I mean, look, like
but the Panthers' defense is sneakily solid, I think.
I mean, that's what I was about to say, man. Like
I don't care. Gilmore's going to lock up Diggs. I'll just say it. That's my son.
I don't want to say anything crazy and have my girlfriend, bust the door down and put harm to my life. But like, would you be surprised if the Bills busted in this spot hardcore? Like they've been a really up and down team coming off of a really hard stretch over the last 2 weeks. Panthers defense sneakily good. Like meltdown spot. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, they've lost 2 straight, so I don't think it's like a crazy meltdown spot. They'll probably win, but it's definitely in the range where they just come out and score like 20 points.
Plus 12.5 though. Yeah, DK needs to make that sportsbook legal, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
1 month, and New York will have 9 online sports books. And you got to
I
go.
Chris says it in the chat, Panthers DST really good against the pass. Like, I love Panthers D as a contrarian GPP pivot just because it's leverage off of every piece of chalk. Diggs chalk, Allen chalk, Davis chalk. Nobody's going to play Panthers D. It's a defense that has a good, pass defense going up against a team that's going to pass the ball a ton. Like,
all it takes is one.
All it takes is one. And they're going to get a lot of opportunities.
To the house. Yeah, I like that. I mean, expectation is probably like 3 points, but we know defense is just pure variance, and all it takes is one Josh Allen drop back, sack, fumble, touchdown, 1 pick six, and they're paying off 2,400. And like you said, it's a good leverage spot for the Panthers DST. So I like that. And Gilmore has been the second highest rated cornerback in the NFL over like the last 8 weeks. So I think he's gonna shadow Diggs. I mean, he's done it before. He's locked him up before. We'll have to see. Obviously, not fading Diggs off of a cornerback matchup, but it is, it's not the best spot for Diggs and the Bills pass catchers. And I kind of like a fade of Gabriel Davis, especially in GPPs, if he's going to be massive chalk, which it's looking like he's going to be. But just in terms of wide receivers and kind of like the conviction that I have at wide receiver is you're going to get all these good players in this range and no ownership. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Brandon Ayuk, Chase Claypool, all good wide receivers in the NFL. They're going to have zero ownership. It's like,
it's crazy. People are paying up or paying down, but this whole range is going to get overshadowed. It's a clear leverage spot. Clear leverage spot.
Julio, Gallup, Brandon Cooks. I don't mind him. I mean, whatever. Christian Kirk. I mean, he's going to get a little steamed. I think he's going to be popular.
See, I liked Christian Kirk a lot early in the week, and I wouldn't full fade him, but to the point that you're making, like, you're going to get these other guys at such an ownership discount that it makes so much sense to get off of these chalky guys because it's well within the range that any of these guys are better plays. Like Brandon Ayuk is one that I love. Cooks is one that I love. Amari Cooper is one that I love. And like, I feel like these are going to be the core players that I look to target in my tournament lineups when you're getting such a significant ownership discount.
Yeah. It's like, Dak is going to be a top 3 quarterback just because he's, one of the only like 4 good quarterbacks on the slate, right?
Right.
But then you get CeeDee Lamb, projected 8% ownership. Michael Gallup is projected around 3%. You get Amari Cooper. Where's Amari Cooper? He's projected between 5 and 10%. So it's like you play Dak and you just double stack them with 2 of these Cowboys pass catchers. They're all good players. It's a smash spot. I think the Dak double is my favorite double on this slate.
Yep. I agree.
T. Higgins has been going off. I think a lot of people are going to get, swayed to a fade just because of like this 8th, and the perception that the Broncos defense has been tough, which, they've been good, but it's not like they're locked down. Right. We know that if the Bengals get down in the spot, they're underdogs, that Joe Burrow's going to throw the ball. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase have 2 of the highest ceilings on the slate, especially Jamar Chase. Nobody's going to play them. This is a GPP player's dream week.
It is. Such heavy consolidated chalk on guys that I think are easy fades. Parker and Robinson. Like, oh my God. I love this slate for tournaments.
Wide receiver chalk, if you don't really know, wide receiver chalk is the best chalk to fade. Just because there's so many other wide receivers with high ceilings, and a lot of these guys just have a lot of volatility, and the range of outcomes are just so wide with a lot of these guys, especially like Gabe Davis, Devontae Parker, Christian Kirk, who's going to be like a top 5 owned receiver. Cole Beasley, Amon-Ra St. Brown is projecting as like a top 7 receiver in terms of like, what are we doing? play the good plays is this week. And that's Amari Cooper, Brandon Ayuk, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. Don't make it hard on yourself.
Yeah.
That's all I could say for GPPs. Like, just stack the Cowboys, stack the Bengals, stack. I don't even know who else. What other stack is viable? The Bills.
I mean, you can stack the Bills, but you have to get creative because Diggs and Davis are going to be such highly owned. Even Beasley's going to have some decent ownership.
Beasley, Diggs, and Gabe Davis are all going to be top 6 in ownership. You're not getting any leverage besides Dawson Knox.
It's tough. It's tough out there.
Literally, you're getting no leverage. The leverage is to not play the Bill stack and go Panthers D.
And I think that is probably the play, honestly.
That's the GPP play for everybody watching. You don't play the Bills, and you hope they bust. You're going to get so much. You're going to gain so much leverage on the field if they bust and you fade that game. Like, you're going to be moving up the leaderboards, looking at those commas in your DraftKings balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, the GPP. This is the best GPP week of the season, in my opinion, or one of them.
I like that. I like that a lot. At wide receiver, I do want to give out one play that I have massive conviction on. And it kind of goes against everything that I usually value on DraftKings, which is guaranteed volume, which Deebo Samuel doesn't have. But to me, Deebo is like the play of the week at 8,200. It's a pay up to be contrarian spot for Deebo. You know, you're paying for access to the ceiling. You're forsaking the floor of a player who's gotten one catch in 3 straight weeks. But at 8,200, you're getting arguably, you know, a top 5 player in the NFL in terms of just raw talent, raw explosiveness against a horrific defense, a defense that's in complete shambles against the Falcons. It wouldn't shock me at all to see Deebo be the highest scoring player on this slate. He could have an absolutely monster game, and he's going to get overshadowed in terms of ownership when you look at the guys around him, and Deontay, Diggs, Adams, that everybody's going to be playing. He's leverage off of Jeff Wilson Jr. He's leverage off of George Kittle, and I'm paying up to be contrarian, and I'm playing Deebo this week. I have major conviction in Deebo Samuel at 8,200.
I like it. Kind of goes into, you know, play the good players, play the talented players. Deebo has, you know, arguably one of the highest ceilings on the slate at any position. And
a ceiling that we haven't actually seen, in my opinion. We've seen him have rushing games where he's put up a lot of production. We've seen him have good receiving games at the beginning of the year where he's put up a lot of production. But he could do it at the same time, right? He could do it at the same time. And we haven't seen that yet. But I think that, you know, 40 plus is in Deebo's range. Absolutely. And what better spot than at home while the 49ers are making a playoff push against a defense they can do whatever they want against, put their most electric player in position to secure that win for them, and you're getting a massive ownership discount over these other guys that are going to be stone chalk. Deebo for the win.
I do like Deebo this week.
Late night hammer, 4:05 p.m. You're gonna have him in your flex spot as your wide receiver 4. You're gonna be sitting there, you know, oh man, am I gonna cash? You're just gonna see it yourself rising up as Deebo continues catch after catch, you know, rush after rush. 2 touchdowns incoming. You're going to be in the money.
I think that his reception ceiling is probably still limited since Eli Mitchell is out. And I think with Mitchell being out kind of correlates to Deebo Samuel's like rushing attempts a little bit. And especially his targets, as you see early in the season, like targeted at a crazy rate, not used as a rusher. And then now it's kind of flipped. Now he's being used as a rusher and he's not getting targeted. Granted, he did come off of, you know, like a groin injury last week. Maybe they just wanted to get him some attempts. You know, he scored the touchdown, whatever. I don't really know if he ran a lot of routes. I think he was out there for a good amount, but just wasn't
A
targeted.
really good amount. No, he was out there running routes on like almost all of Jimmy G's dropbacks.
But you
It
are
just
right.
didn't happen for him.
You are right that, we probably haven't seen the ceiling when both come together. And this is a good of a spot as any for that to happen.
And I'll
So
just go a step further. A player that we didn't mention at running back. I love the Debo Cordero Patterson correlation. Like two guys who can do it in totally different ways. Like I'm telling you, bro, that's the way to go tomorrow. CPAT, Debo, two players who can do it all. Two players who are going to get overlooked at their position. Sailing to the money on that.
Yeah, it's just, Debo isn't going to project well, which is why he's going to come with a little bit lower ownership. And, he's a little bit below Devontae. He's more expensive than Diggs and Deontay, who are going to project better. But I think he has a higher ceiling than Diggs and Deontay in this spot. And
I mean, he's realistically he could finish with the most fantasy points on this entire slate. Like that's in his range. So I love that.
That's your Millie winner call, Debo?
It is. It's my GPP play of the week. I'm jamming Debo.
Okay, I like that.
Let's move on to tight end now. I mean, tough scene for me recording the cash pool video this week on Friday morning, and literally all three guys that I said were my favorite cash plays are no longer on the slate.
Yeah, that's a tough scene.
That's brutal. I had Higbee, Everett, and RSJ as my three favorite cash game tight ends, and all of their games got postponed. So shout out to that video, and shout out to those games getting postponed. So how do you feel about tight end this week in cash games? I think that O'Shaughnessy is probably the punt option at 3,200. Not crazy about that. Not crazy about the idea of playing two Jags in cash. How do you feel about it?
I think that, if you need to save salary, like, yeah, he's the punt for sure. But honestly, like, I'm just sticking with it. I want to play good players. He's not a good player. So I honestly see myself playing Mike Gesicki at 5K. Like, I'll pay the 5K. I'll do one of the 7 deadly sins of DFS, and I will pay $5,000 for a tight end this week, just because, like, the projection with O'Shaughnessy on this terrible Jags team on this passing offense is what, 4-5 points. I just want to play good players this week, man. Like I can't play all this bad chalk. Like you got to be good at football. Like that's part of it. Well, at least for me, it is. So I'm playing Mike.
I'm always opportunity over talent, but I don't like.
I'm playing Mike.
People look at that, right? They say opportunity over talent, and they think that, all right, well, O'Shaughnessy should see some targets in this spot, so that's opportunity. But what's the opportunity for a tight end on an offense that is realistically going to score like one touchdown if they're lucky? Like it's so low. Like, what are the chances that the Jags even score 2 touchdowns in this spot, and what are the chances that one of them goes to O'Shaughnessy? Like, it's chalked for that. I'm absolutely not going to be playing O'Shaughnessy. I mean, in cash, if you have to do it to jam in, Adams, Diggs, Deontay type stuff, like, fine. But yeah, I mean, you got it up on the screen. Like, this dude is a stone cold scrub. I have like no shot. Are you playing him in tournaments, right? No shot.
no fucking shot.
Look at this dude. He looks like a goofy. He's a goofball. Bro.
Yeah, this dude is I'm not going to be that guy. But I mean, this man is going to be like a top 3 all tight end on this slate. On a slate where we have like some decent tight ends, in my opinion. Like we got
the one that you mentioned, namely.
We got Kittle, Mark Andrews, Pitts, Knox, Gesicki, Dalton Schultz is in a good spot. Freiermuth, all that man does is score touchdowns.
I really, really like Freiermuth in tournaments this week. Like he's great leverage in my opinion off of Deontay and Najee. And Gesicki for that matter, who's going to be a lot higher owned in that same range. And I mean, God, what's Freiermuth's projection? Like he's not even in the top 10 in terms of tight end ownership. He's going to be under 5. Like, I love Freiermuth in tournaments.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. My favorite tight end play that nobody's gonna play is Kyle Pitts. I don't have a reason.
You just got a feeling?
I just have a gut feeling that Kyle Pitts and Deebo Samuel correlation. Sheesh. Any tight end besides like Kittle and Gesicki is going to be a leverage play in terms of ownership.
Yep.
But Kyle Pitts at 5,500. I don't know. I have a feeling that it's going to be a Kyle Pitts week. And
that one's hard for me, man. That one's hard for me.
Didn't the Falcons come out and say they want to like limit Patterson's touches or some dumb shit?
Did they?
Yeah, they said some dumb shit like that. Somebody in the chat or watching might know.
I didn't. That one didn't come across my radar, but it's totally possible, dude. There's been so much news this week. It's been a struggle to keep up. Yeah. I guess I don't hate Kyle Pitts. I don't hate it. It's good leverage. So in tournaments, you can definitely justify play the good players. He's a great player. So I'm not mad at that. I mean, what about George Kittle, though? I know we don't like to pay up for tight ends, but I mean, this man has been absolutely just lighting the entire world on fire, basically back-to-back 40 spots. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it goes against everything in my body to want to play George Kittle, but I think he's a smash play this week.
Yeah, he's definitely a smash, but he's going to be like the stone chalk at tight end.
Yeah.
So
is he going to be higher on than Gesicki?
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. So he's literally the highest on tight end.
He just looks like a fucking cornball, James O'Shaughnessy. But
looks like a guy who's eating like funnel cake at
those
a
are the
fair.
Those are the type of plays that people are going to make on this slate, and I just think it's completely wrong, especially in GPPs.
Yeah,
I'm playing good players like Kyle Pitts. The fact that Zach Ertz is $100 less than Kyle Pitts is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, Ertz is the type of player that I could see like catching 2 touchdowns and just being majorly tilted about that. He's solid leverage off of Kirk though, low key, but
yeah,
it's just nasty. He's dust.
Yeah, I'm not playing Ertz.
So what's the chalk at defense this week?
I think it's the Bills.
Sounds right to me.
At 3,100.
Bills,
everybody's
Jags,
on the Bills this week. So you got Josh Allen, Diggs, Gabe Davis, Cole Beasley, and Bills D are going to be chalk this week. So it looks like I'm on a full Bills fade this week. Let's go. Full Bills fade.
The Panthers are legitimately the cheapest defense on the slate, dude. Like, legitimately. Has there ever been an easier play in tournaments?
I mean,
2,400, a decent defense, max leverage. You're punting it off at the least important position, like
that. But that's the most important part. This is probably the best leverage defense of the entire year. No cap.
When has their team had like oh my god, dude, they've got like 6 players in the top 15 in ownership.
Yeah, it's like, like I said earlier, the projection for them is probably like 4 points on D. But it's like, if it hits, what do you win when the Panthers D scores a lucky pick 6 or a sack fumble against a bunch of chalk and other chalk defenses? So just from a GPP perspective, I think you're onto something with the Panthers D for sure. But the chalk at D, just to answer Jared's question, it's the Bills, it's the Jags, right? Jags, Dolphins.
I will say, man,
just these teams at home.
So Panthers are obviously my favorite. I already talked about it. I also like paying up though. The two defenses in the higher range that I like are the Packers and the Cowboys. Like, I mean, this Cowboys pass rush should be able to absolutely just like ruin Mike Glennon's life tomorrow. Like, it's the one thing that gives me pause about playing Dak doubles and the Cowboys running game is that I think this defense could just completely ruin the entire game environment and just cause so much trouble for Mike Glennon that it's just non-feasible for the Giants to do anything on offense to push the Cowboys in any way whatsoever. Like their pass rush is going to get home so easily tomorrow versus this trash Giants offensive line, and Mike Glennon is not going to be able to do anything in this game. So 3,600, I could see them scoring 2 defensive touchdowns, and the Packers going up against Huntley is like that's another one that's really stand out. But I do prefer the Cowboys.
Why is my camera doing that?
I don't know. Cardinals D a little too fancy. Like
Carolina.
Oh, Carolina D a little too fancy. Oh, that was a statement, not a question. No, it's not too fancy. It's literally like the definition of leverage.
Those are the types of plays that you should be making in tournaments, even though, most likely, like I said, 4 points is probably what you expect, but Ben has brought up all of the points to make it a good play. And I agree. But yeah, Cowboys D, one of the best DL versus OL mismatches on the slate. I'm not too up to date with injury news, so I'm kind of slacking a little bit. But are they?
On what?
They have DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory back? No, the Cowboys. I think they do. So they're like fully healthy on the.
They definitely have Gregory. I'm gonna check on Lawrence.
Yeah, no, they do. They do this.
They do?
So
Okay.
they are getting healthier on D. You have Parsons, who's a DPOY. Brady, I'm here.
Hey,
good
we
to
were
have
worried,
you here.
man. We're worried about you, bro.
Right. Where's Brady at? We're gonna have to give him the cash rundown, but after this, yeah, it's a good spot, and I will give a prop for the people. So right now, you can see it right here. I would bet the under on Mike Glennon. You have what we just talked about with the Cowboys D being, an actual good defense. They should hound Mike Glennon. And there are reports that said if Mike Glennon struggles, they could go to Jake Fromm in the spot. So you might get a half out of Mike Glennon, and the under on this 185 looks really, really good right now.
Because he might not get there in 4 quarters. If he gets 2.5, it's chalked.
Yeah, he probably won't get there in 4, and there's the benching upside. That
I love that. I love that.
Baked. It might not be baked into this line.
It doesn't appear to be.
Could be. Who knows? But yeah, I love this under.
Listen, man, we've hit on literally everything on this slate. Yeah, let's give a rundown for Brady who got here a little late. What do you
for cash?
All right, cash, go.
Kyler, Josh, or Tua, if you want to go the pay down route. I haven't decided. I've been flipping back and forth.
I'm leaning pay down for what it's worth.
I kind of like getting to Kyler in cash, but Josh Allen is a great play too. Running back, I think it's a 2 running back week in cash. You're probably playing James Robinson just because he's going to be chalk, and it's a good spot. I have conviction against Jeff Wilson. I think Ben might play him. Who knows? We'll see.
I prefer Myles Gaskin.
I think Gaskin is the second RB play for cash just because he's cheap, good spot. Jets just inflate points to opposing running backs. Pass catching upside, Gaskin. 2 running backs, that's it. I don't want to play 3. And I think the chalk cash game lineup is going to have 3 running backs, which I think is a mistake. But nonetheless,
well, Najee's projecting like he's going to be extremely highly owned, right? So
yeah,
not playing Najee,
which has changed. That changed. because
Okay.
a couple like Friday, Thursday, Najee wasn't projecting high owned, and he's kind of getting steamed a little bit. So people might go there, but nonetheless, I'm probably playing Gaskin and J. Rob as my 2 running backs. That's it. Wide receiver. Think it's a pool of Devontae, Deontay, Diggs at the top, Parker, Gabe Davis. You play 4 of those 5. You try and make it work, fit it. I haven't built the lineup, so I don't know. But you play 4 of those 5 at tight end. My lean is Jasicki at 5K, but I understand just taking the savings and punting with that goofy ball, with that goofball, James O'Shaughnessy. I definitely understand it. And usually I'm a part of the pay down. Like, we got watchers that watch every week, tune in. Like they know we talk shit about people who pay up. But this week I'll probably try and play Jasicki in cash personally.
And probably Bills D.
Hashtag play the good plays. That's this week. That's what I want to leave everybody with for GPPs. So I guess we can go over who's your favorite GPP. Like who do you think's gonna win a milli besides Debo?
So wide receiver, it's Debo. Running back.
Mine is Dante Foreman. Dante, however you want to pronounce
Foreman.
it.
I mean, I'm on board with that play too. So I'm definitely going to have a decent amount of Dante. I like Cordero Patterson as well, but I have to do a little digging into that potential quote you said about them scaling back his workload. That could give me pause, but Cordero was my lean. But I'm gonna think.
Maybe I was just bugging. I could have sworn I seen that, but I can't find it. So maybe I was
I can't find it either.
Maybe
but
I'm just tweaking.
I'm going to scour the internet to find that out. So Cordero would be my lean if that's viable. Yeah. I mean, running back is ass this week. Like it's ass. My conviction at running back is to not play James Robinson in tournaments.
My conviction is to not play James Robinson, Michael Carter, Jeff Wilson, etc.
Najee. I'm not playing any of those 4 in tournaments. I'll tell you that. I would be fine eating like Gaskin chalk in tournaments, but that's kind of the extent of it.
I think Joe Mixon.
My favorite plays like Debo and Joey made a great point earlier. I mean, if you missed the stream, you can rewind it, but like the mid range is like where you want to be living in tournaments this week.
Oh yeah. I love the Cowboys wide receivers, and the Cowboys, in my opinion, have a very good chance at being one of the highest scoring stacks on this slate on the road against the Giants. High implied team total, or 24 implied team total, which is, I think, pretty low. Or no, I'm bugging. That was their open. No. They have a 28 implied team total, which is the third highest on the slate. Yeah, 24. I don't know what that open was. That's very low. But 28 implied team total. You get leverage off of the Cardinals, who are going to be chalked, like Kyler, Christian, Kirk. You get max leverage off of the Bills by going Dak, CD, Amari. Like Josh Allen, Diggs, and Beasley/Davis are going to be the chalk double stack. You're telling me that Dak, CD, and Amari Cooper doesn't have a higher ceiling? Come on, bro.
Brady wants us to build a perfect lineup. Let's do it, because I think we have like 5 pieces of it kind of pre-locked in terms of leverage. I mean, load the Dak double in, first of all. I think it's CD and Cooper, in my opinion.
Yeah, you go CD Cooper.
Panthers D, max leverage on the entire slate.
Max leverage.
Literally, max leverage.
Fade the Bills because they're all going to be chalk, besides Dawson Knox. Play the defense.
Tight end, I want to say it's Freiermuth. He's max leverage off of Deontay and Najee, and he's price leverage off of Gesicki. That's my conviction play of the week at the tight end position for tournaments.
Yep, and a good spot. I mean, you see the 7th because they've been good against tight ends just in terms of fantasy points, but they give up a lot of receiving yards. Like they only give up 4 catches per game against tight ends, so people are going to be swayed against Freiermuth. But yeah,
Foreman as your conviction play of the week.
Yep, Foreman, and it's a correlation with Freiermuth. Then running back, I mean, we can't play James Robinson.
I'm okay eating like Gaskin chalk here, especially if we're not playing Parker and Gesicki.
Yeah, I think let me take a gander at this actually. I think Gaskin is going to be the lowest owned out of the 3.
Out of what 3?
Parker and Gesicki.
He is.
Yeah. So, okay, I like Gaskin. It's a little thin at running back, but running back is a thin position this week. And then I think, do we just do it?
Yeah.
But then we're strapped for cash.
It sets up for a Gabe Davis play, which I'm obviously all about. It's chalky. Maybe something else in that range. I don't know who else is in that range.
Nobody. So it would be Gabe Davis.
I don't hate that lineup at all.
Unless we don't play Debo, because there are just as good of plays, in my opinion, that have similar ceiling. Like we could go like Ayuk. We could go.
What does Ayuk give you?
Ayuk gives you 57. We're definitely playing another receiver. I don't know. We could go. What if we do like a Pittsburgh double without Ben? That's kind of interesting.
Rondale.
That's who I was going to say. Rondale as leverage off Kirk.
I kind of like it.
Pretty thin. But
very thin, but in a dome, no DeAndre Hopkins.
The way he hits is, it's through explosive plays, right?
It's been a while, but he's done it already in the NFL.
Yeah, in a dome in this game, 27. They play in a dome like every game.
Whatever 2v2 you choose to go with these other last remaining spots, I think you can like find a way to get different. But these are our plays of the week. It's going to be the Dak double. It's going to be Foreman. It's going to be. I love Debo as the pay up wide receiver. We like Panthers D as max leverage. We like Freiermuth as max leverage.
Yeah, we go and Claypool. Boom. Claypool instead of Deontay. So you get the leverage Steelers double in a good spot. And then that leaves you like 6,100 where you could be in this range. Maybe you switch it up, try and find some salary to get up to you. You only need 200. I want to play DJ Moore, but Cooks is interesting. So you got some options, but this is like the core. Maybe if you change out some of these running backs too, like maybe you want to go like Chase Edmonds or something. Like Chase Edmonds isn't going to get played, and James Conner is banged up a little
instead
bit.
of one of the other 2 Cowboys wide receivers to get some flexibility. Like there's options, but this is the build I think for tournaments. Mid-range wide receivers for the win.
Yep, 100%. Hard agree.
I think that's about it, right?
Thoughts on Kyler, Gaskin, J-Rob, Diggs, Deontay Parker, Gesicki, Davis, and Jay? That sounds like the stone optimal to me, dude.
I like
you don't need our help. Don't. But always appreciate Brady.
Everybody tuning in.
Appreciate everybody. Appreciate Brady. Stu tunes in every single week.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
We good?
Think we're good here. Think we talked about everybody, and we gave out who we think is going to win GPPs. And like I said, You play the good plays. You don't play the bad chalk and Michael Carter and Jeff Wilson and Devontae Parker and O'Shaughnessy in tournaments. I mean, Parker's actually a pretty good play, but
Yes.
just fade, those high owned suspect talented players.
Agreed. Agreed.
And you play the players who we know score fantasy points. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, Devontae, Diggs.
What a great week, man. What a great week for DFS.
Don't play goofies.
Don't play goofies. That might have to be a new catchphrase on the show.
Facts. Shout out to RJ.
Shout out RJ. Yeah, don't play these goofies, man.
Yeah, these fucking goofballs.
Appreciate you guys all tuning in, man. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and make sure you do something good with your day tomorrow, man. Don't be playing these goofies. Don't be sitting watching Red Zone for 7 hours tomorrow. It's not the vibe. This slate is going to be god awful. If you have any love for yourself, like as a human being, find a good way to spend your day, because it ain't going to be watching these games. I'm telling you that. Set your lineups, follow along, make swaps when you need to. There is still money to be made, but just don't subject yourself to viewing this slate. It's going to be a horrifying experience. This is going to be the worst week of football all year. I promise you I'm not watching any of these games except for the one that I'll be at in person.
Yeah. And I agree. There's a lot of things I would rather do tomorrow than sit and watch Red Zone for 7 hours. So this is a week where, maybe do a little bit of cleaning, maybe
close your eyes, walk into the street. That would
play
be
some
more
video games,
yeah, play some Warzone.
Focus on like growing your business. If you're out there, trying to start a business up, maybe learn a hobby or something, like
go see Spider-Man.
Go see Spider-Man. Great movie. 10 out of 10. No spoilers.
10.
No spoilers, but it's a great movie.
Until the next podcast, which we're definitely going to talk about it.
Yeah. And what I want to leave the people with is don't play Panthers. Don't play Dolphins. Or don't play Jets. You can play Dolphins. Don't play Giants. Don't play Texans. Don't play Jaguars besides James Robinson. Don't play Falcons besides maybe Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson. And don't play the Ravens. And you will be okay.
No better way to sign off than that, man.